For this section, we'll go through a question that many real estate professionals want to know, but I think are sometimes afraid to directly ask, and that is how much exposure can agents really get through media like regional newspapers? Is it worth it, and how exactly is that done?
Yeah, it's a good topic because we all see agents interviewed in papers and magazines, but it's not clear how they got in there. And there's no real way to find out. It's almost like magic.
Right, and we'll also show some specific examples of how a co-distribution article works and what that costs and how real estate professionals can get high quality exposure while helping to educate their community. Hi, it's Alex, executive editor at Estate Monthly magazine, currently in Toronto area, and I'm joined on today's webinar by assistant editor Brittany, who's in sunny Las Vegas.
Hi.
So, first off, the reason agents want publicity in magazines and in papers is because it's very high quality exposure, which develops their authority and their expert reputation. Now, here's what I mean by high quality. Billboard ads have been a staple in agent advertising for decades, but it's low quality because when you think of it, all a billboard really says is that the agent needs more clients, right? But it doesn't prove anything about their ability or their knowledge or their reputation.
It's like advertising that not enough people are calling you.
Yeah, it's funny, but even despite that, billboards can still work. On the other hand, being interviewed for a publication means you're sought after and a respected authority on some topic. And instead of just seeing your face, readers also get to know you and learn something from you. So, much higher quality exposure.
I wonder if you'll agree with this. Some agents talk about finding clients, such as finding home seller leads, but in reality, that's impossible because they have to find you.
Yes, and so the question is, how are they going to find you? And if they do, are they going to have a very positive opinion about you or not? When someone is looking for a real estate agent or a mortgage broker, they want a great one, right? Someone who's not just qualified, but also connected and influential because the agent is representing them. So they want a celebrity superstar if possible. This is even more true as you get into luxury listings. So, first impressions are crucial. Well, we know that. But no matter how you meet a prospective client, you can also expect them to Google you and to check your social media. So, naturally, you want them to find proof that you know what you're talking about, that you're a recognized authority, and that you're influential.
So that's why top agents invest in media. But the question is, how can agents actually get media coverage?
So, we're about to share something truly valuable here because how to get published isn't really taught anywhere, and those who know how won't talk about it. The bottom line on how to earn media is by persistent networking. That means researching who the editors and the journalists are for local publications and building relationships with them over time. Everyone you see getting published in newspapers and magazines, they've already spent years nurturing relationships with journalists and with the publications.
Relationships are everything.
You need to pitch article ideas to them, usually on topics related to current events. That helps. And this process takes a few months. So if your time is worth, let's say, $60 an hour, then getting your first placement might cost around $7,000.
So to be clear, the media coverage can be free, but the cost of your time could be 7,000.
Correct. One shortcut the papers won't tell you is that if you become a regular advertiser with them, they might approach you first when they need an expert opinion or if they need a local source on a real estate article.
Right.
So you could get a mention or even a full interview, but that's not guaranteed because you won't be the only agent advertising with them. So you still need the inside relationships. For a regional publication, you might budget $5,000 to $10,000 a month over a full year. So the next method is called co-distribution, but I realize not many agents know what that means. So we'll show you with examples from our own co-distribution program.
Co-distribution is like a partnership where the agent and the publication are working together to get maximum exposure for an article. So their interests are aligned. Because of that alignment, the cost is much lower than traditional advertising. It's about one quarter of what you normally expect to spend, meaning as low as $500 to at most $2,000 to heavily distribute one article.
Right.
From a practical business perspective, that means contributors are getting a full article written about them, plus a social media campaign to promote it, and also paid distribution across the internet.
Right. And the cost of that is actually less than what they would pay for a full month of maybe social media management or probably even less than a small billboard for a month. So you can imagine the cumulative effect of that publicity for agents who are getting published several times a year. Now, let's talk about audience size and exposure levels.
Right.
Okay, so the biggest failing of traditional media is that it has a fixed audience, and only a small percentage, maybe 5% at best, are currently in the real estate market or any other market for that matter. So even if you're interviewed by a major publication, it reaches surprisingly few people within your actual local market. That's why our program specifically distributes articles to our contributors' markets, meaning only those who are likely to sell or buy a home will see it. We pay Google, we pay Facebook, LinkedIn, and other platforms to distribute to our custom audiences in the target city. This approach gives our contributors very high useful exposure, and it shares their knowledge, their article, with those who need it most in their community. Okay, so what does a co-distribution program actually look like? Well, let's look at some examples and results from our own program.
Okay.
The cover image is the main graphic to promote the article. It's almost like the cover of a magazine, and it features the contributor's headshot, you can see here, and of course their name and other things. It's great for building that face and name recognition, similar to a billboard.
Yes.
But unlike a billboard, the interested viewers can click to read the entire article and to visit the contributor's business website or their social profiles. The cover video is like an animated version of the cover image. It's highly shareable since it looks great, and social media loves short videos. Typically, several thousand local people will see this.
And just to clarify, we share these custom posts on our social properties and we also promote them through targeted campaigns. But you can also share them to your social followers.
We email every time we post something new so that you can easily like or comment or share it with your existing audience. The contributor welcome really celebrates and thanks the expert for being a contributor to our publication, and we share that through all the major social channels.
Something new we're doing is producing a full length video of the article, narrated by the journalist who wrote it.
Yes, this is very exciting because not only is it very shareable, but the video ranks well in search engines also. So when people are searching for a local agent in your city, or maybe they're searching for your name, they're very likely to see this video. And of course, they can click through to read the article and your website.
Right.
So we also promote that on YouTube to your local market, and it usually gets hundreds of views within just a few days.
For social quotes, we take some of the best quotes from your interview and promote those on our social properties.
Okay, I'll spare you the details here, but we also do a ton of SEO on the article because we want it to be highly visible, not just during the campaign, but for years afterwards. It's also worth noting that this will actually increase the ranking of your own business website in Google because the article includes a full hyperlink to your site. Links like that are very valuable for SEO. And one of the best parts, we email you distribution reports so you can get a sense of where your exposure is happening.
Always good to know.
If you want to be interviewed and featured by State Monthly, I should stress that we're all about sharing local knowledge and providing communities with qualified expert opinion. I really don't like the standard model of editors choosing a narrative and then finding sources that will support that same view that they already decided on. So we don't do that.
Instead, we let our expert contributors focus on what they feel is most important in their communities, and we help them to communicate that.
We're fairly selective in the professionals we invite to interview because we're really looking for the right amount of experience in the specific markets that we want to write about.
We found that the best contributors are those who are passionate about the communities and really want to be a valuable resource for them.
Yes, if they already have a good social media presence, that's even better because they can share their article and other content that we create. They can share it with their own audience, and it just amplifies their useful exposure. When it comes to the interview itself, our style is very casual. The journalist always has some prepared questions, but it's mostly a free-flowing conversation.
Some contributors prefer to respond in writing, so that can be done by email instead of phone.
You may already know that Estate Monthly is part of the Primacy Publishing Group, which manages several other real estate and expert opinion publications. So contributors to Estate Monthly have an easy time getting more publicity if they want it down the road.
If you've already been invited to interview with us and you want to try co-distribution, you just need to have an article written first.
Now, we'd really love to hear from you, and of course our journalists love it. And then once you've approved the finished article and you want it to be widely seen, you can then select your co-distribution funding level.
Right.
So I hope this has been very informative. And if you have any questions we should address in our next webinar, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks and bye for now.
Bye, everyone.